Welcome back, YouTube. MTG Joe here. Today, we are going to be giving you a spicier version of the best decks to take for the standard metagame challenge. If you're looking for the kind of tried and tested, true, large volume of games played, established decks for the best decks, I did a video of that in terms of which ones you should be looking at for the metagame challenge. Now, the thing is, people often want to play something a little bit more rogue, something a little bit more fun. I'm doing an off-meta one. So I'm going to give you 5 decks that really aren't heavily played, but have had recent success either at tournaments or MTGO leagues. So I've kind of found 5 fun ones. Fun is subjective. Cough, cough. First one is a control deck. So some people have fun playing control. Others dread playing against control. But we'll take a look. If you are looking for your more kind of Golgari mid-range, Esper mid, Boros convoke, I'll link the video description. We went over like 10 different deck lists there. So I'm trying to cover from all bases, the fun stuff that can be somewhat competitive, and then the more tried and true. So we do these, the metagame challenge for standard will be over the weekend from the 31st to I think the 3rd of June. So it's a good way to kind of farm some packs if you have a relatively successful win rate going through. So really quick, like this is what you should probably expect in the metagame. This is Platinum to Mythic Rank. And then this is, if you just go up, like we could kind of see with the parameters, as we kind of go up, there's a lot more convoke, a little bit less Golgari from the lower ranks. Esper mid-range, Azorius Control, so various mid-range piles you should expect, like the Temur ramp deck, domain decks. Toxic, mono, red, and convoke will be the kind of aggro decks of the pillar. So that's generally what you should expect going into this weekend in terms of the decks themselves. But we're going to take a look at 5 decks here. I'll link them all, timestamp them, so don't worry. And you can just kind of pull from that. Again, I can't 1000% advocate for any of these because I haven't played them, but people have had relative success, like 5-0 in MTGO League. There's some luck involved, but there's also some, you can't just take a random pile necessarily and just cleanly 5-0 against established decks. But we'll take a look. Really quick, if you enjoy this type of content, we do weekly metagame breakdowns for Standard Best of 1, Best of 3, as well as the Eternal formats on Arena. So explore historic, timeless as well. So make sure to subscribe. We're trying to hit 15,000 on the channel. We're closing in on 13,000. It's free, easy, helps out the channel. Greatly appreciated if you can do that. So first deck up, this is from Makanarmara. They've had a couple placements with Dimir Control, one being an MTGO league from yesterday. And this is Dimir Control. We see creature package of 1 Alkazats as well as 4 Tishana's Tidebinders in here. And there's just a lot of answers, which is what these control decks are typically bringing. Long Goodbye, really nice against Rafine, Graveyard Trespasser, anything with kind of uncounterable ward abilities, but also it's a clean answer to Liliana, which is often a pain for something like blue-white control. Negates, 3 step ahead, kind of the premier counterspell. Deduce, go for the throat, Memory Deluge. You have a Deadly Cover-Up as kind of a sweeper and surgical extraction. Notably, this isn't like Sunfall that presents its win condition, and Exile, so death triggers do trigger, stuff of that nature. Path to Peril as another cheap kind of sweeper in the deck itself. One thing to check really quick, is there any access to white mana? There's not. So the only way you can make white mana is a one of Myrex for the kicked ability or the cleave ability. You also have Jace Perfected Mind, just kind of value play. You can mill out your opponent, but some card advantage, kind of lock down one of their attackers. In the mana base, you have Restless Reefs as a creature land, as well as a Myrex and the full set of Field of Ruins. Sideboard gives you the option of a Hullbreaker Horror as a way to have an uncounterable threat. Hand Hate, more sweepers, Graveyard Hate, Shieldred for kind of the draw go decks. Stoetic. That is a word and a half. Sphinx, just a nice flash threat that can't be targeted if you haven't cast a spell this turn. So cast it on your opponent's turn. There's an opening that they can target, but once you go to your turn, you're basically just playing draw go. So nice in the control mirrors. Negates, cut downs, just more cheap removal. So if you look at the deck itself, it's actually not playing any cut downs main, opting for more sweepers for catch up. Chrome Seed Shark, oftentimes against control decks, they'll board out their cut downs, their various removal spells, go for the throat, so you can kind of side these in. And then against aggressive decks, you have another Akhlazats. Then we go all aboard the Bronco train. This one by Fishy Physics. May 6th got first, and it is a version of the black-white Caustic Bronco deck. So we saw a version that was playing Shadow of Mortality at the last PT. Now it's not going like full meme, it's just Caustic Bronco value engine. You do have things like Phyrexian Flesh Gorger and Seal Seraph, which in this deck you're oftentimes going to just be casting it as 3 mana spells, but with Bronco you can hit him for 6 or 7, which is kind of cool. So you get kind of the best of both worlds. Shield Druid in here, you have Lord Skitter, which eats away at the graveyards, but then triggers Crimes every turn for the Gissa here. You have Hostile Investigator as a way to eat at your opponent's hand. Deep Cavern Bat is another way to eat at their hand. And then you got Collector's Cages, Hideaway that you can cheat things into play and then put counters on things, so kind of cool there. Go for Throw, Cut Down, Removal Package, Virtue, so just a lot of good black-white cards. It's basically like a mono black deck, splash white for some utility in the main. And then you also have access in the sideboard to like Shrouded Shepherd for the go wide decks, Aven Interrupter as kind of a cancel effect or like a counterspell in non-counterspell colors. Tempo Elements, Rest in Peace for Graveyard Hate, Pest Control for the go wide decks, and then just various removal and hand hate options. This one's a really sweet one. I'm actually going to check this one out to see. I don't have Hostile Investigators. Got to see how many Collector Cages I have, but I think I want to try this one. This one looks fun. We then go to Simic Food. So this was a deck popularized by content creator Ash Lizzle. And it is a Simic Artifacts deck. This one is 64 and 33 by Nola Gold. They play this deck quite a bit. Core of the deck is leveraging, like, you have Teething Wormlet that gets bigger, Spyglass Siren makes artifacts, Ginger Brute being an artifact that can be unblockable, same with Surge Engine. So there's a lot of activated abilities of your creatures, things like Tough Cookie, your Sentinel makes you more artifacts, Kitesail Larcenist is removal, and then you're playing the Agatha Soul Cauldron, so you can kind of build your own monstrous creature with unblockable stuff like that. Deck's also playing Lost Jite, so some utility there, untapping lands, creature can't block, put a counter on equipped creature. Putting the counter on can activate Agatha's extra abilities. Schooner as a cruise threat, Cryptic Code as a value engine, Hard-Hitting Question as removal, Zoetic Gryph upgrades all your various artifacts, and then Tezzeret Betrayer of Flesh, card we haven't seen really much constructed play. So first activated ability of artifacts you control costs 2 less, so Surge Engines, anything like that. The Cryptic Coat bounce, GT equipped, anything of that nature. Lets you loot, it animates, and then you get an emblem to draw cards kind of mixed into there. Big thing with this deck, what it got was access to Botanical Sanctum, so less like garbage lands that come into play untapped or come into play tapped. You can have, like, you're a nice aggressive deck, you can have your untapped lands. More removal, pick your poison, flexible spell, just kind of interaction, some counter spells, Tishana's Timebinder, activated ability hate. Moving on, we go to Gruul Surprise. This was another deck from yesterday. So there's a Jund version, there's a Gruul version. Don't have much preference, I would say, either way. So Jund gives you access to better removal. I think this version gets you cleaner mana and just better mana ramp that lets you just kind of go more linear. But the core of the deck, what you're trying to do is have a Terror Peaks out, and then with Calamity, copy Terror the Peaks, and then you get to make copies of it when it's saddled, and then you just like fireball your opponent. And the way you could kind of do that is with Smuggler's Surprise, where you get to cheat cards into play, kind of a mini tooth and nail kind of package. You also have Vaultborn Hydra or Tyrant in here, another big threat to kind of pay off there. This version, you have a lot of ramps, so Topiary Stomper, you have Armored Scrap Gorger, you have ways to like search for lands, as well as just a big body on its own. Archdruid's Charm can help you ramp, Glimpse of Core helps you ramp, and the Outcaster Trailblazer is kind of sweet because if you make copies of it, even with the Calamity, you get to draw a bunch of cards that way there and generate a bunch of mana. The sideboard, just Ops and Bailoff for like Liliana decks, aggro decks, Volcanic Sprite as removal. For heavy counterspell decks, you have Tyrannix Rex. 4 Cavernous Souls in this deck as well, naming like dinosaurs, stuff like that. You have Trumpeting Carnosaur as an example. Probably get away with playing like an Atali or 2 in here if you want. I mean, if you're going meme, go full meme. Brotherhood's End of Sweepers, Frill Back, flexible removal spell. just, you know, eating graveyards, blowing up artifacts, enchantments, stuff like that. Then last is Grixis Midrange. This went a little bit ago, but this one was from late April, but there was a similar version at the European Championship I was watching yesterday, and I think it was Naples. I was doing well. It's basically a red-black splash legends deck. So this one here, you have like Marquesa, Magda for blood tokens, and then you get to not blood tokens, treasure tokens when you commit crimes. So you get that value to make sack 3 treasures. You get a dragon with this Marquesa. You get card advantage. Bad Mirror gets bigger. Karavek lets you recast stuff. Deep Cavern Bat is a crime. Urtai is a crime. Like Tithe Harvester is a crime. Corpse Appraiser, when it comes in, gets you card advantage and also a crime. So it's kind of also like a slight vampire sub theme, which is kind of cool. Slick Sequences removal, Bitter Triumphs. Probably wouldn't play Slick Sequence. I'd just play like more cut downs and go for the throats and stuff. Or even like make this appear would probably be reasonable in that case. Slip out the back as some protection. Tidy Bones joins up with all your legends. This also triggers crimes. So you kind of have like your, once Tiny Bones is out, any legend you play triggers a crime, which triggers a lot of the other subsequent abilities of the deck. So it's kind of cool there. And then sideboard again, just various kind of removal options, hand hate, counter spells, sweepers, graveyard hate, stuff of that nature. Those 5 decks, let me know if any of these jump out to you. If you think, if you have any other kind of cool fringe decks that are doing well, drop a link in or just a deck list, share the community. We try to build it up, help each other out. But let me know what you think. We'll catch you next time. Have a great one.